Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a special episode of Top Deck Heroes. Tonight we have the gods of UFS on. We have Jason Horonsky and Shane Duckworth. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
So,
Alrighty, so we're going to get started real quick here. I'd like you guys to each introduce yourselves for the weird people who somehow never managed to know you guys before, but they do exist out there. Jason, why don't you talk a little bit about yourself and what you do at Jasco Games?
I'm Jason. I run Jasco Games business, and I guess I also do a lot of game design, but I started the company, so I work a lot at Jasco Games.
All right, and to your left, I guess, or right, I don't know, is the very sexy and sensual Shane Duckworth. Say hi to everybody and tell us a little bit about yourself.
hi, I'm Shane. I am the CCG director. So basically, what I do, I work on cards a lot. So I spend a lot of time on on the computer, and I work on cards, answer emails, all that kind of stuff. In addition to that, I also do the bookkeeping, the approvals process, and the community building.
Sounds like a ton of fun. Sounds like you guys are always super duper duper busy.
Pretty much.
So let's get right into the news for tonight. And the big news is this weekend is the UFS National Championship in Atlanta, Georgia. Are you gentlemen going to be taking off for that tomorrow?
We take off at 8 in the morning.
Ugh, that's awful early. So we're going to put up just a little picture of the banner for Nationals for everyone to see on the stream. We're going to have it at the special Holiday Inn and Suites with Jason's picture on the front of it. Looks like there's a lot of great amenities nearby, such as a blimp and a Waffle House.
Waffle House,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's got to be. It's the South. There's got to be a Waffle House.
Waffle House is great. I know, Jason, you probably don't care much for it, do you?
I actually hate Waffle House, but don't tell Waffle House that. Every time I say something negative about something, the internet immediately knows.
It gets back around, yeah.
So, we're going to be giving out you guys are giving out lots of cool stuff at Nationals. We got this swanky play mat featuring the art from Greek Fire. What made you guys decide to choose that art of all art?
Well, Greek Fire is awesome.
It looks awesome, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually one of the best art pieces from that set.
10 out of 10.
We also got two new cards coming out at Nationals we haven't seen before. We'll talk about them a little later. Party Crasher and Race Against Time.
For sure.
But let's get right into our Nationals prediction. Gentlemen, first major event I think recently that we haven't done at a convention, so things are a little different. What do you think the attendance is going to be like this weekend?
We've been talking about this for like a month straight. We know a lot of the people that are going, but my guess is it'll be somewhere between 60 to 80. It could be higher than that, but that's my guess.
Now, you guys go to a top 16 after 65 or more players?
That's correct.
So there's a high chance that there will be a top 16, which hopefully will mean some really tight matches, but could also mean a lot of diversity.
It could.
Do you think there's any characters going to get diversified this weekend?
There's definitely going to be
sure.
some diversity.
Absolutely,
this
yeah.
Now, Air has won the last two domestic singles events. They won, Air won at Worlds in Las Vegas in 2016, and Air also won at Worlds in 2015. Do you think Air is going to win this event as well?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Not a chance.
Not a chance?
Not a chance, nope. I don't think so.
What do you guys think is the symbol to beat this weekend?
Dude,
There's some good ones.
there's like so many playable symbols now. Like I'm pretty sure like every single symbol is playable.
And what do you guys think is going to win it all?
My guess is on Void.
Shane
I'm
Duckworth?
gonna say either death or it's gonna be the order symbol. Either death or order.
Either death or order.
Yep. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. I know that there are three folks heading from Rochester. Good luck to Kevin, Jesse, and Giggles. I know Kevin's won a couple cards. Giggles has been on Bubble a couple of times, and Jesse still has yet to win his. So we'll see what the weekend unfolds for those guys. And good luck to everybody traveling to Nationals this weekend and safe travels. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of tonight's show, guys, and we're going to talk about UFS design, which I think we can all agree, since the World of Indies came out, has taken a radically different direction. I think overall for the better. And so let's talk a little bit about the World of Indies. So this was the first time you guys, well, UFS ever has released turbo starter decks. And so what difficulties did designing turbo starter decks did you face in it, which is different from designing a normal set?
I'm not sure if it was more difficult than designing like a starter set. What was different about this is there were no boosters that went along with it, and since the I think the battle packs of Sabretooth days, we haven't really had that. So that was different because you had to have everything in the set working together. So we had a bunch of rares that kind of were all over the place for power level purposes, and then you had standalone decks. And each one, I think the hardest part was making sure that the two characters in the or the turbo deck worked together, because they needed some kind of synergy with the main deck that they were part of.
Makes sense. Shane, what difficulties do you think you had in the design process for Indians?
I think the hardest part for us was trying to test the decks and seeing if they were on like an equal footing with each other, because that's what we wanted to have. We didn't want like one turbo deck to have like a lopsided matchup, which like I guess there could be a case for like Hikaru and Kadath. That matchup's a little tough for Hikaru to win. But overall, I think we did a pretty good job at balancing out the turbo decks to be like on equal power level.
Yeah, and I think a success for you guys too, compared to previous starter style products, is there isn't one turbo deck that's selling like way better than the others, and which makes the rest of the box unsellable. I know as a retailer we've had some difficulty moving J. Talbane and Dr. Wily, and so I think that's really good for stores, knowing that if they buy a starter box, they'll actually be able to sell everything in that.
Yeah, on that same note, we're still every set we do trying to develop a better way to get the cards to the players and to the retailers, because when there's a set that players really love, usually the retailers don't like it, and when there's a set that retailers love, the players don't like it, because one's either going to be moving better for sales or worse for sales and easier for the players because they're getting everything they need. So that middle ground is what we're constantly moving towards. So when you go into like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, we have a completely different build, so that the retailers don't get stuck with products, but the players still get really good value out of their starter decks.
Now, speaking of the turbo decks, we actually have a question in the chat from Corey, who's asking, what is the status of organized play for turbo? Should we expect... go ahead.
Yeah, organized play for turbo, we're hoping to launch everything up in January and starting a season. Either that, or if it doesn't hit on January, because there's a lot that has to go into turbo, it'll launch with the start of the new Player of the Year schedule at Worlds.
Very exciting. Now, with the World of Indies being the first set for the new design team, what were your main goals to accomplish going into it, and do you think you were successful?
Well, for Indians, or Indines, or however it's pronounced, I guess, Brad has told us it goes both ways. But the number one thing was we wanted to make sure every card had a purpose in a deck. It didn't necessarily need to be staple in every deck, but it needed to have a purpose so that a creative player or a combo player or a Johnny or a Spike or whatever could get into the game and build the type of deck that they want to build, and there's not cards in there that don't do anything at all in certain decks. Like there's not a stack of cards out of the set that you can go, well, this is just not going to be playable at all. So that was the first thing that we wanted to do, other than balance-wise. And then we also were trying to get away from that big wall of gray. As you probably all know, this is going to be a very aggressive Nationals, probably more aggressive than it will be in the future, because it's a kind of a transitional meta at the moment. But as soon as the meta kind of shifts towards one design direction, I think it'll get back into a really balanced back and forth. But we won't have that situation as much where there's a giant staging area that you need to blast through before you can do anything.
Okay. Now, in the future, would you consider releasing, for a smaller license like the World of Indies, would you consider doing this sort of release again with the turbo decks plus the random rares?
Possibly. It really just depends on the property that we have available, the time frame. But we're always looking to do kind of more small mini releases in between releases to see what we can do to kind of mix up the meta while we're waiting for our big releases. So it's hard to say that we would do it exactly like this, but we'll probably do something similar every year or probably once a year, I would say.
Okay. Shane, any other thoughts on the World of Indians?
Okay, so when we were making the World of Indians, the number one thing I wanted was attacks that actually like did stuff, like attacks that actually killed people. So that's where you see cards like the one Eligor attack, where like you make a check and it gets like a bonus equal to the check, like that. Yeah, like just cards that like attacks that actually like make you want to play attacks, because that's what the game's about. It's like a fighting game at the very core. So like people should be encouraged to play attacks.
Yeah, I think the sets right now, the cards that we have come out, really enforce and want people to attack more often instead of playing 80 foundations. And I think we saw that really come out in World of Indians with that mechanic where 10 is the magic number. If you have more than 10, bad things can happen.
Yeah, we are going to elaborate on that a little bit each set with a few cards every now and then, just so that's always in check. And they may not be cards that people put into every deck for that ability, but they will be there in the game. We even gave it a keyword so that it's not going to be, having to spell out that whole thing anymore.
I think that's always a huge improvement. Anytime you can keyword something to get a little bit of text off the cards and to make sure everything's consistent every single time. So moving on, after World of Indians, the new design team tackled Battle for Power. Now, based on the spoilers we got at Worlds in 2016, before the new design team had taken over, looks like there are some cards that stayed and some cards that went. So what criteria were you guys looking for when you decided what stayed and went?
That was really heavily up to playtest. We ended up putting together our private internal playtest group. We actually played right over here till 4 or 5 in the morning, several days in a row, because it was a very rushed playtest session, so we had to get a lot of testing in. Just because it was completely designed by the first group, but we had to go through it again, make sure it was fitting into the criteria of the new direction. And because of that, we didn't change everything, obviously. It was maybe about a 50-50 or a 60-40 split of what stayed and what was edited. And some of the cards are almost exactly like what they were, but maybe it was a tweak that we found in playtest. Like Scorch Wheel has gender male, it didn't used to. That kind of, small tweaks because of what in the meta based on our test.
Okay. So this set was the first set in UFS history to have all uncommon character cards. What made you guys decide to make that change?
Well, the character cards is the core of the deck, so we wanted to make sure everyone gets their character. Moving forward, just like in this set, you can still get foil versions in your rare slot. And that's cool because some people just a version of their character. But let's get in the east.
What's that?
I said we're hearing the hurricane from the east.
Oh boy. Well, I don't think we're having a hurricane. I don't think there's a hurricane in the background here.
Yeah.
But anyway, now I forgot.
Okay, so Shane, do you have any thoughts on the hold on.
Battle for Power?
Sorry, John, we had a little technical glitch over here.
That's fine.
Okay, so Shane, any thoughts, on things you did with Battle for Power?
So, Battle for Power, the one thing that we did, a lot of the cards were changed, and a lot of them we just, said we're fine. The ones that we changed were cards that we felt like needed a boost in order to see play, because as we said with the World of Indians, we want every single card players touch to be playable in some kind of deck. That's the new philosophy that we want. Every card that you open out of a booster, starter deck, whatever, should be playable in some kind of deck. And a lot of players call it power creep, but honestly, it's not really a power creep because we just took cards that would have had never seen play and made them actually viable,
Mm-hmm. All right, so we got some cool spoilers here in the this last week. Grim in Wonderland is something that people are asking an awful lot of questions about right now. So tell us a little bit about Grim in Wonderland. I think there's a lot of good questions, and is this going to be like a new IP? Are we going to see a set on this?
This is an idea that for quite a while that we've wanted to move forward with, but it's not something we've really had time to put into UFS, but mostly because we have so many big licenses coming up. So we decided to test out the IP and the brand for Grim in Wonderland, which is this whole. It's basically two public domain, really popular titles that are mixed together in our own storyline. So you have this cool universe where all of the grim fairy tales are in Wonderland. They've all basically fallen into the rabbit hole, and a lot of cool things are going to happen in that. But for the story going into UFS, we're trying it out as promo cards, and we'll be putting them into the monthly price support once the whole new program gets going again, and see how the fans like Grim in Wonderland, and we'll kind of base it off of their reactions and see if it's something that later on down the road might make a bigger appearance in UFS.
Okay, so we did have a couple of cards from this new license. They're going to be given out at Nationals. The first card is Party Crasher, and we do like to read to folks at home because there are folks who are on audio only. So Party Crasher is a 5 difficulty 2-check attack with a +3 low block, 4 high for 5. It's got all Chaos and Earth, and it's a reversal. After this card is discarded due to your opponent's effect, you may discard 1 attack from your opponent's card pool. And then respond card pool remove. After your opponent adds any number of cards in their hand due to their effect, they lose 5 vitality. So I think that overall this is a pretty potent card. I think based on this and the promo you guys spoiled, not promo, the card you guys spoiled today, it seems that you guys are going to be going after folks drawing and adding cards to their hands.
It depends. We don't want people to abuse the same type of ability over and over. So in good gameplay, you want well-rounded decks, and this is just going to keep people from abusing one mechanic over and over. And draw happens to be the most powerful mechanic in most card games.
Yeah, card advantage, is really, really important. And with this, the first effect, after it's discarded due to your opponent's effect, does this mean we could possibly be seeing more discard effects coming in the future?
It's very, very likely you'll see some more discard effects coming up pretty soon.
Very cool. And when would these cards become legal after Nationals? Would they be legal immediately following, or is there a set time for you to be able to start using these cards for competitive play?
These two cards right here are going to be legal. Let's see. There we go. There you go. You see the real ones. Those will be legal as soon as they hit monthly price support, so you guys can get them early at Nationals, and then they will hit your monthly price support, and then from there going forward, they'll be legal.
Very cool. Shane, any thoughts on Party Crasher?
I love it. It's awesome.
Excellent.
Cool attack.
Yeah, I've noticed, a trend in attacks lately is attacking is becoming really, really good. We're getting, I think very powerful effects on attacks. At the same time, though, people are having to make judgment calls because these attacks don't necessarily always have good blocks, or you risk checking a 2 or even a 1 in some cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to really manage your risk reward on it and what your goal of your deck is. If your goal of your deck is to really annoy the opponent's strategy, then this card kind of interferes with your opponent's strategy a lot. But if the goal of your deck is to rush down and beat people, this probably isn't the card you want in your deck.
No. Okay, so moving on to our next card, our next spoiler. This is Race Against Time. This is a 3 difficulty 4-check action card with Evil, Good, and Void. R remove. After an attack is played, remove it. Its owner may play 1 attack with the same printed difficulty as the removed card from their discard pile. No control check necessary. So this card, I think, is actually really good. A lot of people, I think, were hating on it, saying that it wasn't very good. But I know there's a lot of UFS players who play, only 1 or 2 copies of, their big finisher or a card that does something very specific for them. And if they don't have another card that matches the difficulty in their discard pile, they could just be out an attack.
Exactly. Defensively, this card is fantastic, especially early game if people want to try to rush down early. Which, as soon as this comes out, that is a strategy right now. People are trying to win really quick, and this will just stop it, unless at least about 85% of the time, depending on what they check. And offensively, it has some really tricky things it can do too. And then there's that hybrid offense defense with like I don't know if we should even say the other strategies you can do with this card that are really interesting. But people will figure it out eventually, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think offensively this card could be, pretty powerful if you have, a 4 difficulty move that may not be impactful at that time, but you have a 4 difficulty move in your discard pile that's way better. You can play this on a 4 and get the attack that you really wanted to play instead. It's kind of like a backdoor moon.
Yeah,
that came out really wrong.
We actually compared the card a lot to Moon when we were making it and testing it and all that.
Yeah, that's the most common comparison you'll get with this card is when the moon comes over the mountain, which is interesting because it's not exactly when the moon comes over the mountain. It's kind of a pretty unique style of card.
Yeah.
But I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's very good in like a toolbox style deck where you have like a bunch of like attacks and stuff like that. Very, very strong in that.
I do like the cross license promotion here. Looks like Lily is riding in the carriage.
Well, that's Genzuman's art style. His characters tend to look similar.
I simply couldn't resist, but the resemblance is uncanny.
Yeah, it's Cinderella, but Lily in another universe could be Cinderella. We don't know.
Maybe Lily fell down the rabbit hole and became Cinderella.
At least she doesn't have the same hair pieces and everything.
She don't have a star in her head or whatever. Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to Blood Omen. This is, something people are really, really interested in. We started a spoiler season for the set this week, which hopefully means pretty soon we'll have a release date. We're not going to press you guys too hard on that here, though. So instead, let's talk about Balcor. Hopefully that's how you pronounce it?
Balcor, yeah.
Balcor. Sorry. All right. Balcor is a character, 6 difficulty with a +0 mid block, with Earth, Evil, and Order, 6 hand size, 28 vitality. Your turn, : your opponent's checks get -1 for the rest of the turn. And commit, your charge or slam attack gets +5 damage. So, guys, what are you thinking with this character?
He's a beast, right? He's like the general of the abyss,
Yeah, he's gonna hurt. He hurts you. He's won a lot of battles, and he's gonna crush you too. That's kind of his plan.
The full art character I think looks fantastic.
You.
Getting to actually see the whole image is not that annoying text box in the way distracting you. Now I noticed the control check and the difficulty logos aren't blue like normal. Is that going to change color depending on what the art in the background is?
I think right now characters are consistently purple, and this is going to be kind of a set-by-set thing. We're going to be making minor tweaks each set and doing some minor improvements to like background parts of the text boxes and possibly fonts based on player feedback. But I think every set it'll probably change a little bit, but we're going to keep the same overall layout now because if you notice here, when you're doing your symbol lineup right there, now they actually go in a chain. So you can, obviously these don't match, but you can line it up like this.
Game loss for Jason.
Exactly. I just played an illegal card, but
yeah.
But that's the strategy moving forward. And we also have the speed looks more like your fighting joystick, so it's more fighting game put into the game now. The shield obviously was a change we made a while ago. That was part of the new frame, but these frames weren't quite ready yet for those sets. So it's been a slow transition to get exactly to where we want them to be.
Very cool. And next we're going to bring up an attack from the new set, which is Dragon Slayer, which is, I think, the first attack we've seen on this particular frame. I know there have been slightly different frames coming up until this point. And so we got it up on screen, but for folks on audio only, Dragon Slayer is a 4 difficulty, 3 check attack with a +1 low block, 4 mid for 5. It's got 3 keywords on it: Breaker 1, Charge, and Slam, with Earth, Evil, and Order, Balcor symbols, and I'm just going to keep pronouncing it wrong, I think. And then E. Oh, I got it right?
Yep.
Excellent. And then E, if this attack is not completely blocked, commit your opponent's character. So this card seems like it's going to be pretty good on offense if your opponent's character has a defensive ability that they're going to want to use.
Yeah.
It's good on defense too because it has the breaker.
It's
just a solid attack, you know.
I really wish this card had the reversal keyword so you can commit your opponent's character on their turn.
And give it +5 damage with Belcor.
I mean, it's a reversal you'd really want to block. So with Belcor, this does become a 4 mid for 10, should you choose to commit him for this ability. And I think we're going to be seeing more of the charge keyword, Jason?
Yes, for sure.
Absolutely, yep.
Especially moving into Street Fighter. That's kind of the reason it came about.
Excellent. And for those of you watching on video, you can see the new joystick logo where, you know, the arrows are pointing high, mid, or low. And I think that's going to be really good when teaching people blocking because you can see the arrow high, mid, and low, and then the shield, which reminds them that that's, you know, something for blocking.
Yep.
Overall, you know, I really like the new card frame. I think it's fantastic. I think it's a nice change from the old one. Some people are saying it doesn't have a modern look, but compared to UFS cards the way they are now, you know, I think we're going ahead 5 or 10 years in, you know, card appearance.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's like we said, it's a never-ending process to kind of get exactly to where we want, and each set probably needs its own look anyway to fit in, because the look of Street Fighter and the look of Mortal Kombat and the look of Cowboy Bebop probably need to be a little bit different from each other just to get the feel of the license in there too.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent opportunity to add a little bit more depth to UFSs if the cards from each license look a little different. And I think it's also more convincing, you know, when the front of the package says, you know, the Mega Man card game, the Street Fighter card game. So they feel like individual card games that are universal and you can mix them together. So I think that's a great idea. Hopefully we'll see some a rare or ultra rare attack for this guy pretty soon because I really want to see what the meat and potatoes of this guy is.
He's pretty awesome. He hits really hard.
His rare attack, really, really good.
Perhaps maybe we could spoil that tomorrow.
You want to spoil tomorrow? Or spoiling that we're going to Natch tomorrow?
Should we put it on there?
Well, you want to spoil it now?
Sure, we can spoil it now.
All right, Sean and Brian, I'm going to send you the file.
Okay, get that over here, and we will get that put up now. Thank you for the exclusive spoiler for us.
While he is spoiling that now, and then we'll put it up on Facebook tomorrow with our announcement. The other announcement that goes up tomorrow is that the former Gorgeous Boys, now Gorgeous Duo, and then now Gorgeous Duo plus JT is going to be challenging the winner of the team's championship this weekend for the final boss battle. And I believe Shane will be challenging the overall singles winner to a boss battle to see if they really have what it takes against the guys who make the game.
That sounds pretty exciting. I remember the last boss battle, the boss was defeated.
The boss was defeated, but that was just for show. You see, after that tournament, we did a money match for $20 in which Robert went 2-0 against the same deck. So, you know, that's just for show. So this will be serious, and we're here to win. We're here to protect the Jasco title.
All right, one moment, guys. I'm gonna get the thing here. Bear with me. I'm gonna just minimize the Skype window for just a moment. You guys no longer exist. I'm gonna get this on screen. While I'm doing that, why don't you guys talk a little bit about any other nice surprises that might be going on this weekend at Nationals?
We're going to be bringing some Top Gun games as Keenan requested. I kind of expect to drink heavily for some reason. I don't know. I've heard a lot about Atlanta, so I'm not sure what to expect. I do think it'll be more humid than I'm used to, so that'll be a change. But as for the tournament, I'm just excited because this is a completely new venue. It's not during a convention. It's free to play. Our plane tickets for the entire company were under $500 round trip, so I don't know how it is around the rest of the country, but that's ridiculously low plane prices for like a 5-hour flight or whatever that is. So overall, we're just really excited. We're all packed up and we're ready to go. And I don't even know if we're going to sleep tonight. We're probably just going to play with our decks and then get straight to the airport and then sleep in Atlanta.
All right, guys, we are ready. We've got Death Seal of the Abyss.
Apocalypse.
Apocalypse, I'm sorry. So this is a 5 difficulty attack with the charge and slam keyword. 3 high for 5. Charge slam with Earth, Evil, and Order. It says if this attack is completely blocked, it still deals 1 damage during the damage step. And then E, if this attack deals damage, your opponent commits 2 foundations. Well, gentlemen, that is pretty interesting. So unless you block with an off-zone omni-block, this move's always going to get in.
Correct.
That is a spicy tomato.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, you can always cancel the E's, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
That seems pretty darn awesome.
Strategy 2 is reduce it to 0 damage somehow.
Yeah. And there's also stun hate too. Like, there's a card in Battle for Power, the one spam where after it's committed due to your opponent's effect, it readies. So there are ways around the card, but like if you see that card in your hand, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna attack with this.
Alrighty, so let's move on to our next spoiler here. Thank you for the exclusive, guys. That'll be up on the Rochester CCG Facebook page pretty soon. The next card rather, is General of the Abyss. A 1 difficulty 4-check foundation with no block. Earth, Evil, and Order. E-destroy. If your character is committed, commit one of your opponent's foundations. So, this is a 1 difficulty spam for Evil, which, with a girl like any other rotating out and Red Horizon set 2 rotating out, Evil's going to be kind of hard up for 1 difficulty spams. And targeted committal, very, very good. So when do you guys think this is going to be like the card to play?
I mean, in Belcore, it's already super good because you don't have to care as much about committing your character for your E. You just do that and then target commit some stuff and then kill them later. But there's a lot of characters that don't mind being committed. Vinny G is a good one.
Vinny G, I think the best character it's gonna be in is probably the Mega Man out of the 10. That's probably gonna be the best character for that card.
Yeah.
But there's like a ton of characters that can play the card. It's a spam that target commits something. That's like insane. That's why it has. It's why like it doesn't have a block and it has a 4-check.
Yeah, I think this card is going to be pretty powerful. I was talking about it before the show with Kevin, who's not here tonight, and he thinks this card's really, really good because when you're going in for the kill, you've already used your character ability, especially if you're playing Balcor. This is going to really help you get in there, especially if your opponent has a card that's going to make that not happen.
Yep.
Very exciting. And then our last spoiler for tonight was just done today on the Universal Fighting System page, and that is Callous Leader. 2 difficulty 5-check foundation with a +3 mid-block. Earth, Evil, and Order. R-commit flip. After your opponent adds any number of cards to their hand due to their effect, flip one of their foundations. So this card, I'm pretty excited about. The R-commit flip, I think, adds more of a cost than just R-flip. Because, after the last block with Rise of the Masters and Warriors of the Night, I think it became pretty obvious that flip is not really a cost. Because you're still going to have a ready foundation afterwards. So, I really like that as a change. Your opponent's going to flip their stuff over, and they're going to have to commit. And flipping their best foundation is, I think, really good if your opponent plans to draw cards.
Yep.
Any other thoughts on this card, gentlemen?
Makes you think twice about doing, one of the best things in the game.
Very cool.
It's not like you don't see it coming. So if you're playing into it, you're just like, well, I need those cards.
Yeah. I think something cool about his cards, like his foundations, like the first one that we talked about, the spam. He's like, like on the art, he's pointing, like I want to commit that card, right? And on Cal's computer, he's like doing this, kind of like he's like 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 he'll like he's like I don't like that foundation. Go ahead, So it's pretty nice.
Yes, and these cards are going to be coming out in the Blood Omen set, which is scheduled to come out sometime in November, I believe, or December, something like that. And these cards are available for order. The set is rather at RochesterCCG.com, your premier source for UFS trading cards. We'll just bring up a picture of the awesome box art, which I don't know if anybody's talked about that yet, but that box art is super sharp with Natali right on the front of it.
Awesome. That's what we like to hear. You should see the booster wraps. The booster packs are awesome.
Yeah, you can't quite see them in the store image, so maybe we'll get to see those here pretty soon.
Yeah, they're really cool. Other thing about those, so that set's actually been finished printing for about 4 or 5 weeks now. So, pretty cool. Right now, we're just, we actually might have a couple cases at Nationals, depending. So our printer is in North Carolina, and we've asked them to ship us 2 cases of Blood Omen to Nationals just to see if we can get something to show off. But we'll see if that makes it there or not. They're still doing pack out until, actually it's done now, so they're trying to get it shipped tomorrow, I think.
Oh, that'll be really exciting. I know the UFS community loves the at-tournament spoilers, so hopefully, we'll get to see something super duper cool coming this weekend.
Yeah, we'll see. We don't even know, so we can't promise anything. But we're hoping we have some cool stuff to show off.
So, guys, the next question I have for you is regarding UFS in general. Now that we've gotten through our spoilers, and that's what's next for UFS as 2016 comes to a close and we get into 2017.
2017 is a big year because it starts off with Street Fighter, it goes into Cowboy Bebop, and then we have Mortal Kombat. All of those are huge titles. We have worldwide distribution for UFS for the first time since we've had the game. It's been, sporadically around the world, but we actually have all 33 major distributors through a new distribution chain. Some of the biggest distributors that never carried UFS or haven't in a very long time are now carrying UFS. And we are sending promotional materials to all of them for each of these sets ahead of time. So your local stores, if they don't put up the posters and the advertisements we send out, that's on them, but everyone's getting it now. And we're really excited about that. Plus, the new blood that's going to be brought in from Street Fighter and especially Cowboy Bebop. I actually think that's going to bring a huge influx of a different style of player that we haven't had in UFS ever from the anime crowd. Because we've had the fighting game fans before. I think a lot of the Street Fighter players that maybe quit or haven't played in a while because Street Fighter's not in the game will be coming back. And I'm sure we'll get a lot of new players from Street Fighter, but Cowboy Bebop I think is going to be a big game changer for UFS and the type of player we bring in, how many new players it'll introduce to the game.
Which release next year are you guys most excited about?
I don't know. Probably Mortal Kombat for the work's sake, because that's going to be the hardest set for us to put out. So knowing when that set is done and out, it's just going to be a huge relief off of our shoulders, because the approvals process, because it's a double license pretty much, it goes through Warner Brothers and NetherRealm Studios. It's going to be a lot of art struggles, I think, because there's not a lot of anything out there already. So for us, not really excitement for the property, because I'm excited about all 3 of them pretty equally. But because once that's done, I think we'll just be excited that we climbed that mountain and got it finished.
What about you, Shane Duckworth? What release are you most excited about for next year?
I would say that all 3 sets, like the Street Fighter, Cowboy Bebop, and Mortal Kombat, they're all like equally as important. Like it's kind of like a triangle. Like all the angles are the same. So like I don't think Street Fighter is more important than like Cowboy Bebop. I don't think Cowboy Bebop is more important than the Mortal Kombat. But yeah, I kind of agree. As soon as we get the last one out, which is Mortal Kombat, having those 3 sets done and completed is going to be like a big relief for us. So like the job isn't over with Street Fighter. Obviously, it's not over with Cowboy Bebop. It's not even over with the Mortal Kombat. But like once we get all three of those out there, we just got to go on to the next big thing, you know?
Right. Now, gentlemen, I see on the table behind you, you put some product out on display. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. So obviously we've got a couple games. I think the UFS community has been pretty well introduced to this game. I don't know if you've had a chance to play it yet if you're watching, but Top Gun, the plot twist party game, coming out very soon. This is our box sample we'll be bringing with us to Atlanta for Nationals to play around with.
Keenan Meadows loves that game.
Keenan loves this game. Yeah, a lot of our players have tried it out. This really embraces the 80s and the awesomeness of Top Gun. It's a very more casual party game. It's not really about the jets so much as it is about having fun and quoting the movie and what the Top Gun movie is really about. And so we're excited about this. And it's the coolest thing about this game is we're one of the few games these days that has a $9.99 game out. Like, you can get this game for $10 and play it with your friends, and that's awesome. And it's really quick. Then we've got Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which everybody's talking about. I think it's already sold out, and we don't even have it in yet. So this game's awesome, cooperative game. You can play anywhere from 1 to 6 players.
Back to.
Oh yeah, we got the back here.
That looks fantastic.
This one's a little bit beat up because we brought it to Gen Con and a couple other conventions, but there's that game too, and we're excited about both of these. That game, I'm sure we'll be printing like 3 or 4 or 5 print runs of, because the first one's already out, I believe, and we still haven't even gotten it, so we have to make a new print run of it. And then next year is the 20th anniversary for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so we'll probably be doing something special for that as well.
Any chance on either of those 2 licenses coming to UFS?
It's very unlikely.
Top Gun.
Top Gun, because we don't have the permission from the actors to use their likenesses, unless we just
have
do
them
what we
fight
do.
their outfits.
Yeah, we'd have their outfits with a helmet on, maybe. And for Buffy specifically, I don't think we can now, but it's possible down the line. It depends on the way licensing works is very complicated because certain people are in certain genres that would be competing with us. So I believe like collectible stickers are still in our trading card genre, so we can't make trading cards until their license expires and we decide to add it to our license.
Okay. A couple of people on the chat kind of give you a little surprise question here, wondering about Universal Tactics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's a huge project. That has been a crap ton of work for us, but we're really excited about it. We're looking to launch that on Kickstarter for Street Fighter at the beginning of the year next year. And we're doing amiibo-sized pre-painted miniatures is at least what we have in plan right now, unless something goes horribly wrong or our manufacturers say they can't do it. But it'll be, the big pre-painted minis. We'll probably show off some sculpts fairly soon for what we have so far. And it'll be played on a tactical board, which has all of the different stages from the game. You use a deck of cards with a special character ability, and the game's awesome. We've been playing it a lot. Very fast-paced. It's probably one of my favorite dice-based tactical games. And then it also is obviously compatible with Mortal Kombat and Dragon Ball Z.
That's going to be really exciting.
They'll have their own mechanics, and whether or not we kickstart the second 2 is up to our licensors. But we already have the go-ahead from Capcom for the Street Fighter game, so we'll start with that and see what happens from there.
Excellent. Gentlemen, that's going to pretty much wrap things up for tonight. The last thing we like to do every week is go over the upcoming events to remind people to get out there and play in their PTCs. Coming up this weekend, of course, everyone knows, is the big U.S. Nationals event at the Holiday Inn in Atlanta, Georgia. If you're planning to go, hopefully you've bought your ticket at this point or you have a ton of driving ahead of you. Coming up shortly after that is the Fremont PTC, October 29th to 30th at Mythic Affinity in Fremont, Nebraska. That was kind of a late addition to the schedule. Glad we were able to get that in there. Following that is the Rockford PTC, November 5th through 6th at Top Cut Comics in Rockford, Illinois. After that, the Poughkeepsie PTC, November 19th to 20th at the Champion Card Collector in Poughkeepsie, New York. And then to wrap up the schedule for this year is the Reno PTC, another late addition to the schedule, December 3rd to 4th at Games Galore in Reno, Nevada. Should we expect to see you guys at any of these events other than Nationals?
I do think we'll make it to a couple of them, but we haven't booked flights yet. We're kind of focused on nationals at the moment.
I'll probably be, I know a lot of Vegas players, they're thinking about like having an RV and going up to Reno, and they wanted me to go. So, I mean, I'll probably go because I've never been to Reno. And we used to have a dog that was in our house, and he's now in Reno. So I got to go see that dog again, you know?
Excellent, guys. So, quick question. I know this wasn't on the schedule, but for people who are interested in running a PTC for the 2017 season, what is the process to get that up and running? I think this is a Shane Duckworth question, I'm guessing.
Yep. So what will happen is that we will have like what's it called? Like a process where like stores or like scouts can send me like an email, and we can just do the PTC thing from there. But the thing is that we need to make sure that their like group can hit the 20 player amount for the Pro Tour. We've had like 3 or 4 PTCs of this year that did not hit that mark, so we need to make sure that like you know, the groups that are getting the PTCs can support it.
Right. Yeah, I know a couple of the PTCs in particular, the one in Amsterdam that failed recently to reach the 20 people. I know their circumstances had changed significantly since they first signed up for their PTC last year. Now, is that something you guys are going to keep up on throughout the year? You know, talk to the scouts, make sure that they can still support that?
We're gonna have to, yeah.
Cool. All right, gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for tonight. Any final thoughts before we let you guys go home?
Everybody travel safe, like you said earlier. It's going to be a fun weekend.
Excellent. All right, UFS community, thanks for tuning in tonight. Thank you, Jason and Shane, for taking time out of your super busy schedules to talk to us. I know the community appreciates it. And hopefully everyone will see you here this weekend in Atlanta. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
See ya.